Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning everyone. We are from the first group of Phonology subject and today we will discuss about the phoneme, same but different. So the first topic of our presentation today is about variation and when to ignore it. Phonological variation is concerned with sounds and the way we pronounce the words. There is a way of saying the same things, and here the speaker might vary their pronunciation or accent. In phonology and phonetic, free variation is an alternative pronunciation of a word that doesn't affect the word's meaning. Free variation is free in the sense that a different pronunciation doesn't result in a different word or meaning. This is possible because some allophones and phonemes are interchangeable and can be substituted for each other or say to have overlapping distribution. The most obvious difference between American English, British English, and Australian English is in the accent and pronunciation. This difference is especially noticeable in the vowel sounds. The letter also can be very tricky. American English also famous for its clear R sounds, whereas in British or Australian English lose the R sounds. For example, it would in the word water. In American, it pronounced water, but in British, it water, and in Australian, water. Well, here I put some example. You can see in our slides. And another example is word hurry. In British, hurry, and in America, hurry, and in Australia, hurry. Word near, in British, near, in America, near, and in Australia, near. Okay, you can read another example in our slide, right? The second topic is variation in written language. When first learning a language from a young age, children do not fully understand the depth of words. They will make everything simple. When they learn to write, they do the same thing. They copy what they see, but don't know the real reason or right way. When we talk about the rules in writing, it will correspond to capital letters, because capital letters are used consciously. Here we put some example in our slide. Writing doesn't represent sounds very well and sounds our language, so we should start with the sounds. That is why do people capitalize letters and when they want to hear them louder. For example, in writing proper names, the name of Anna with capital letters, it must be sound louder, such as Anna and Anna. It's different. That is why do people capitalize letter. The things that are bigger correlate with things that are louder. It is not important how letters are written. It can be messy or differentiate, for example, like Latin script. What is important is we can read and see the different shape. Over time, Latin scripts learners learn to recognize letters, for example, A and capital A. In our head, we read digital text, it looks all the same. But when we read handwriting, we have to remember the standard shape. There is no real shape, but when we think or speak in our head, When we read, we have to remember the shapes within different languages that use the same letters, such as German, French, Dutch, Spanish, and etc. They all have different rules for how to use letters. The same thing they all do is remember the shape and consciously look for the correct shapes. Those are about the variation in written language. Well, for the next topics will be continued by my friend.
Next, the phoneme. Phoneme is the smallest abstract, meaningful unit in photograph which can distinguish between two words. Meaningful, it has function which can change the meaning of word. In APA terms, this can be transcribed as k, the cupboard sound, ch, the kitchen one. However, in English, k and ch don't signal different meanings as ke and the do in call versus tall. Instead, we can always predict that ke will appear before one set of vowels, which we call back vowels, like the k of cupboard or the the shortened British English speaker has in car will appears before front vowels like kitchen or the in certain British English case. In just the same way, the same speaker producing the same words say multiple representation of kitchen cupboard will produce mutually different instances of ke and ja. Similarly again, we can classify all the variants we hear here as belonging to either founder ja or baker ka. Although we are not at least without a little phonetic consciousness raising, aware of the differences in the way or with presently the fact that we learn writing letter and with more explicit instruction account for our higher level of awareness here. Okay, in turn, ch and ke, which native speakers regard as the same, are realization of an abstract unit we call the phoneme, where the ending as in prepon means some abstract unit. Phonemes appear between slash bracket and are conventionally represented by APA symbols. In this case, ke, as with grammars, we could in principle use an abstract symbol for the abstract unit, say S, like bracket, like this, or give it a number or a name, but again, it is convenient and clear to use the same symbol as one of its relation. Those realization here, ke and j, are elements of the phoneme ke, with bridges like this, and then to qualify as element of the same phoneme, two or more phones that it sounds must meet two criteria. First, their distribution must be predictable, and the second is the one phone is expeditionally subjected for the other in some context. The substitutions must not correspond to a meaning differences, although in English ke and J are elevons of the same phoneme and are regarded as the same sound. In Hungarian, they are different phonemes. We can test for this by looking for minimal pairs, that is, pair of words if variant is in meaning, where the only difference in sound is that one has one of two phones and at issue, whereas the other has the other. Think of call and call. And surprisingly, speakers of Hungarian find the differences between K and J glaringly obvious, and would be extremely surprised to find that English speaker is typically lumped them together as the same sound. As for differences between variants of the same language, it is straightforward to demonstrate that modern English contrasts are in complementary distribution. Since minimal pairs like fat versus fat, left versus left, or sever versus sever are easy to come by. The phoneme system of modern English therefore contains both and all English speakers will have
Pak.
weekend
Terima kasih, Pak.
and at the same, just as modern English speaker think of K and J as the same sound. Example of English of Old English like this, like heaven, Lord, other, this, over, and half.
The next is some further examples. There are the differences to pronounce a phoneme between some words. For example, the first is she, and the second word is she. We can look at these words. There are S letter in both words, but it has different sound. She has S sound, while she has sh sound. So, when we pronounce she, S sound released a little puff of air from our mouth. So, it is the difference with S. And the other examples, we can look by the words call and sell. Those words have C letter, but it has different pronouns. When we pronounce call, C letter pronounced as K, so we pronounce call. While sell, we pronounce C letter as S, so we pronounce it sell. Again, in call, it will release a little puff of air from our mouth. We can check by our hand. If we feel there is a warm air, so it called as aspiration. So, let's check with our hand. Call. Call. There will be a warm air, so that's called as aspiration. And in IPA transcription or International Phonetic Alphabet, it will symbolizes as 8th letter, but it in the top. And the next is the reality of phoneme. We can see the phoneme by the alphabetic spelling system. Alphabetic spelling systems are frequently based on the phonemes of the language. We can see it in Old English. There is no v. There is no v sound, but it only f. But now, in modern English, the phonetic alphabet developed to be f and v. And then, the phoneme is always developing as the language developing too.